In Vienna, high-level meetings over the fate of nuclear sanctions against Iran and when they could end.
Well, we're hoping to hear some news very shortly, but as you can see, it's evening here in the European Union and still no word from the International Atomic Energy Agency on whether they have agreed that Iran has scaled back its nuclear program within the framework that was agreed to back on July the 14th. That would require it sending its enriched uranium abroad, shutting down one of its main reactors that could create plutonium, and mothballing thousands of other parts of its nuclear plant. Now, we've seen meetings all day long between US Secretary of State John Kerry as well as the EU's foreign policy chief and Iran's foreign minister Mohammad Javad Zarif. Despite all the delays, despite the fact that this announcement was expected on Saturday morning, nonetheless, the remarks we've heard have been optimistic. Here's a little bit of what Iran's foreign minister had to say earlier.
We have the implementation day, so we expect to have the implementation day today. I believe it's not just an important day for economic activity in Iran. It is going to open the possibilities, vast possibilities in Iran for economic engagement.
Vast possibilities for economic engagement indeed, because even taking aside the potential for future investment in Iran, oil exports, it's expected that if the International Atomic Energy Agency gives the green light, all of the sanctions would be lifted, and that would include unlocking somewhere between $50 to $100 billion worth of frozen assets.
Jack, tell us more about the prisoner swap. Big headlines here between Iran and the U.S. What more do we know about it?
That's right, it was unexpected, but we've heard that the United States will release 7 people, one of them Iranian, 6 of them Iranian-Americans, all imprisoned over charges related to breaking sanctions. On top of that, they will drop the names of 15 people from an Interpol wanted list. In return, Iran has released 4 Iranian-Americans, perhaps the most high-profile of them being Jason Rezaian, who was arrested last year while working as the Washington Post correspondent in Tehran, charged with espionage charges. On top of that, a former Marine who was also charged with espionage, a Christian pastor charged with setting up home churches, and one man who's arrested not before being made public. On top of that, outside of the exchange, Iran says it's also going to release a student that was arrested earlier in the year, and it will help the US track down the whereabouts or find a former FBI agent who disappeared in an operation in Iran that the US has said was backed by the CIA. Now, the US says this swap is not linked to the nuclear deal. Iran says it is, says it's a goodwill gesture. Either way, it does seem to be a major attempt to build on diplomatic relations on the back of the nuclear agreement.
Jack Barton live in Brussels. Thank you for that.